The observation deck of the Imperial Dreadnought stretched across 300 meters of reinforced crystal, offering an unobstructed view of the diplomatic arena below. Princess Queen Valera of the Corthinian Empire pressed her smallest finger against the transparent barrier, her triple-jointed digits trembling as she watched the scene unfold in the chamber beneath. "Father," she whispered, her voice carrying the harmonics of her species' emotional distress. "That human isn't normal." Emperor Thaxon stood beside his daughter, his crown of living metal pulsing with a dull crimson glow. For 3 centuries, he had ruled the Corthinian territories with wisdom earned through countless wars and diplomatic victories. He had witnessed the rise and fall of 12 species. He had negotiated with hive minds that spanned solar systems and artificial intelligences older than most civilizations. Yet the creature standing in the arena below unsettled him in ways he could not adequately express. The human called himself David, nothing more. No house name, no territorial designation, no honorifics denoting rank or achievement. Just David. He stood alone in the center of the diplomatic arena, hands clasped behind his back, wearing nothing but simple gray clothing that bore no insignia or armor plating. His species was new to the galactic community, having achieved faster-than-light travel only 40 standard cycles ago. By all conventional metrics, humans should have been irrelevant. But David was not irrelevant. The challenge was his idea, Thaxon murmured, more to himself than to his daughter. When Ambassador Krell insulted the human territories, this David simply smiled and requested a demonstration of capability. Valera's eyes widened, all 3 pupils dilating independently. Krell is a champion of 9 worlds. His carapace has turned aside plasma fire. His strength can crush battle steel. She paused, watching as the massive Krell entered the arena from the opposite side. The ambassador stood 4 meters tall, his exoskeleton gleaming like polished obsidian, each of his 6 limbs capable of tearing through bulkhead plating. "Father, the human will die. We cannot allow this." "I tried to stop it," Thaxon admitted. "David refused my intervention. He said, and I quote, that sometimes people need to see rather than hear." The arena fell silent as Arbitrator Lynx of the Neutral Confederation raised her crystalline appendage. Her voice echoed through translation matrices in 7,000 languages simultaneously. "The challenge is witnessed. Combat begins when the tone sounds. Victory is achieved through surrender, incapacitation, or death. Do both parties consent?" Krell's response was a roar that shook the observation deck. His battle mandibles spread wide, revealing the bioluminescent throat sac that had hypnotized prey species for millennia. "The insect consents to be crushed." David simply nodded. The tone sounded. Krell moved with shocking speed for a creature of his mass. His charge covered 30 meters in less than 2 seconds, claws extended, mandibles wide enough to swallow the human whole. The gathered diplomats from 17 species gasped in their various ways. Valera closed her eyes, unable to watch the inevitable slaughter. But the impact never came. When Valera opened her eyes again, David stood exactly where he had been. Krell lay on his back 12 meters away, all 6 limbs twitching in confused synchronization. The human hadn't appeared to move at all. What happened? Valera demanded. "Father, what did he do?" Thaxon was already running the visual records backward through his neural interface, slowing the footage to 1,000th speed. Even then, the movement was nearly imperceptible. As Krell had charged, David had shifted his weight by perhaps 3 centimeters, just enough for Krell's claws to pass through empty air. Then David had moved. His hand had flicked out, barely touching Krell's leading leg at a joint that Thaxon hadn't even known existed. The pressure point had been perfect. Krell's own momentum had done the rest, his nervous system temporarily overloaded by the precisely calculated strike. He used physics and biology against a superior opponent, Thaxan breathed. He didn't overpower Krell. He simply understood him better than Krell understands himself. In the arena, Krell had recovered and was circling the human with more caution. The ambassador was many things, but he was not stupid. He feinted left, then struck right with his secondary arms. David swayed backward, the claws passing so close to his face that they should have drawn blood. Instead, the human's hand shot forward, 2 fingers extended, and struck Krell directly in the throat sac. The champion of 9 worlds made a sound no one in the arena had ever heard before. It was a wheeze, high-pitched and desperate. Krell staggered backward, clutching at his throat with all 6 limbs, his bioluminescence flickering erratically. "Impossible," Valera whispered. "The throat sac is protected by subdermal armor. Our scientists have studied Krell's species for generations. There's no vulnerable point there." But David had found one. Or perhaps he had created one. The human was already moving again, not pressing his advantage, but instead circling away, giving Krell space to recover. This, more than the strikes themselves, sent a chill through Valera's thorax. David wasn't trying to win quickly. He was teaching. Krell roared again, but this time the sound was different. There was uncertainty in it, fear. The ambassador charged once more, but his heart wasn't in the attack. David didn't even bother dodging this time. He simply raised one hand, palm outward, and Krell stopped dead in his tracks. The silence in the observation deck was absolute. "He didn't touch him," someone whispered through the translation matrix. "He didn't need to," Thaxan replied. In the arena, David lowered his hand and spoke his first words since the combat began. His voice was quiet, but every translator in the chamber caught it perfectly. "I don't want to hurt you further. You are a warrior, and I respect that. But this demonstration is complete. Will you yield?" Krell's mandibles trembled. Every warrior instinct in his body screamed at him to continue, to fight until death or victory. But intelligence won over instinct. Slowly, with great dignity, the champion of 9 worlds lowered himself to the arena floor, all 6 limbs spread in the traditional gesture of submission. The arbitrator's voice rang out. "Victory to the human David. The challenge is concluded." David immediately walked to Krell and extended his hand, that strange human gesture of reconciliation. After a moment's hesitation, Krell took it. The human helped the massive alien to his feet, supporting weight that should have crushed him. In the observation deck, Valera turned to her father. "How is he so strong?" "Our intelligence reports said humans were physically inferior to most spacefaring species." "They are," Thaxan confirmed. "In raw strength, in speed, and natural armor, humans rank in the lower quartile. But intelligence reports don't capture everything." He gestured to the arena where David was now speaking quietly with Krell, the two appearing almost friendly. "Humans have spent their entire evolutionary history as persistence hunters. They didn't overpower their prey. They outlasted it. They learned it. They understood it better than it understood itself." "But we have persistence too," Valera protested. "We have intelligence and learning." "Yes," Thaxan agreed. "But we also have natural weapons. We evolved with advantages the humans never possessed. They had no claws, no armor, no venom, no size. They had only their minds and their strange ability to refuse to give up." He paused, watching as David bowed respectfully to Krell before leaving the arena. "Do you know what humans did when they encountered predators that could kill them with ease? They studied those predators. They learned their patterns. They created weapons to compensate for their weakness. And then they dominated their entire planet." Valera felt her skin shifting through colors she couldn't control, a physiological response to deep unease. "What are you saying, Father?" "I'm saying that every species in this confederation became apex predators through strength or speed or natural gifts. Humans became apex predators through sheer stubborn refusal to accept their limitations. Thaxon turned to face his daughter fully. David could have killed Krell in that arena. I saw at least 7 moments where a lethal strike was available. But he chose restraint. That, daughter, is what makes him truly dangerous. Below, in the diplomatic chambers, representatives from dozens of species were already requesting private audiences with David. The human who had entered the arena as a curiosity was leaving as something else entirely. Not a warrior, despite his victory. Not a diplomat, despite his restraint. Something new. Something that none of them fully understood yet. What should we do? Valera asked. Thaxon considered the question carefully. In his 3 centuries of rule, he had made many decisions. Some had saved worlds. Others had cost millions of lives. But this decision felt more consequential than most. We will offer the humans a full alliance, he said finally. Not as subordinates or protectorates. As equals. But Father, they're so new, so primitive in many ways. They're new, Thaxon interrupted gently. But I think primitive is the wrong word. Different, perhaps. Surprising, certainly. He watched as David disappeared from view, surrounded by a crowd of diplomats all seeking his attention. I have learned over many years that it is better to have such beings as friends rather than enemies. And I suspect that humans will be one or the other. There will be no middle ground. Valera was silent for a long moment. Process.